Thank you very much. Ranking Member Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, I have two sets of questions. Congresswoman Giffords' staff has submitted to me some questions that she has. I thank both of you for your kind words on her behalf. And they focus on Department of Defense energy issues, something that Congresswoman Giffords has worked a great deal on, and basically using efficiencies and alternatives to deal with our energy needs and reduce our energy consumption. She had introduced a bill, the Department of Defense Energy Security Act in 2010. Many of those provisions were contained in our FY 2011 NDAA, and wanted to follow up on that. And specifically, there's a program that the Marine Corps is using at a forward operating base in Afghanistan to use solar as a way to reduce their fuel consumption. And I think the biggest point here to make is this isn't just about saving money or dealing with the energy challenges. This also does save lives. And the specific example there is that because they used solar, they were able to significantly reduce their fuel consumption, as I understand it, from like 20 gallons a day down to 2.5. And that reduction means that fewer convoys have to come and go and bring fuel in, which means fewer people are exposed to the IED threat. So there are very specific implications of this policy. And going forward, want to know, first of all, how the Department of Defense is doing implementing these programs, finding efficiencies, reducing our energy consumption through the use of efficiencies and alternatives. And then second of all, what more we in Congress legislatively need to do or can do to help you. And if you could, on those two questions, I'd like to hear some brief comments from you, but submit the answers for the record to both Congresswoman Giffords' office and to mine. But if you could take a stab at that now, that'd be great.
I think the example that you actually gave with the Marines in Afghanistan is a terrific example, and it does exactly what you just described. And actually, the Marines in Anbar province several years ago started that, looking at the length of their convoys, the number of people that were actually put in harm's way because of the logistics and transportation requirements. That has kicked in over to the Army and actually across all the services. I mean, so I think the efforts with respect to improving and reducing energy dependency are significant. The Secretary stood up a very, very strong office to oversee this, to both integrate the efforts. The investments are there. The Air Force has, from my perspective, led the way with respect to synthetic fuel, use of synthetic fuels in aircraft. The Navy has picked up on that. So there is a significant effort across the board. There are green investments taking place in the Marine Corps out in 29 Palms, for instance. They're just straight solar energy. The reductions that base commander are seeing are significant as well. That is also starting to be put in place in other bases around the country. So we're sharing the ideas. We know that we've got to reduce our dependence significantly, and the leaders are focused on that. We've seen some of the results, but we have expectations they'll be significantly greater in the future.
And I think that Mr. Secretary, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just going to make two quick comments. First, I think credit needs to be given particularly to the Secretary of the Navy, Ray Mabus, because I think the Navy has a really aggressive program in terms of reducing energy use. Second, I would just note that I read just a few days ago that the C-17 was just certified for the use of synthetic fuels.
Yeah. And that's why 2 points, just closing on this issue before I ask another question, is number one, how much a difference this can make. I think there's generally in the energy field a feel like, well, yeah, they're talking about this and that and the other thing, but when's it ever going to happen? It's happening. And I think the military is out front. Every base that I visit, and there are many, always talk about they're doing this, that, or the other thing on energy and how much they've reduced their energy consumption, how much more efficient it is. And then I think the challenge really is to get it to scale. Is as all these experiments are happening, sort of quickly find out, okay, here are the three things that just work the best. Let's get them service-wide and get them implemented. So I think you're making enormous progress there. We thank you on that. And like I said, if you could submit a more detailed answer to Congresswoman Giffords' office and mine, that would be great.